you come to Bass Island and you look at the boathouse, above the entry door where the boats come in from the water side is the number 1882, and it's in rope. We have a deed, a legal deed of when this property was purchased, 1882. We don't really know who the first owner was. We know that somebody by the name of George Foster purchased it around the year 1900. And the Foster family in 3 generations, there was the Fosters and the Phelps and then the Sweets, and they owned this property from around 1900 to 1960, when the Hamilton family, the parents of my wife at the time, purchased this property. Since that time, this property has been in our family, so that's about the same length of time that the Sweets owned it, over three generations, and in our case it's been 3 generations too, and I expect that it will be in our family for a good time to come. One would hope. The history is very interesting because we have photos of parts of the cottage dating back to about 1903. The cottage at that time looked much the same as it does now. The island's not very large. It's officially it's 0.8 acres. I think it's actually a little less than that, but officially the surveyor says it's 0.8. And then there's a wooden bridge that goes over a little bit of water and goes to some rocks and a little tiny island that's maybe 50 feet diameter. And then there's a second bridge goes from there to another rock, and on that rock stands our flagpole. We call that whole area of those little tiny islands, we call that Japan, for no reason that anybody's ever explained to me, but Japan it is. Also on the rock where the flagpole is painted. Bass is actually Bass Island, and so people know it by that. I have figured out just by studying the detail of the wood and the construction material that we used that it was built in 5, 6, 7 stages. So this George Foster was the builder of the cottage. I think that means that he did a lot of the expansion. So probably when they bought it around 1900, maybe even a little before, there might have been probably 3 rooms. What's now the dining room and what's now the bathroom, which was a bedroom originally, and another bedroom next to the what's now the dining room. In the early years that they owned it, not far from the year 1900, did a series of major expansions and added on the veranda, and then a second story was put in with more bedrooms and a veranda over top of the downstairs veranda. And then there was a living room and a kitchen added, and eventually there was a fireplace added to the living room. During the long time that our family has owned it, we have really made a deliberate point of keeping the island the way it is historically. As I think about it, I can really only think of one significant visible change that was made, and that is that there used to be, when the Hamiltons bought it, there was a 2-story boathouse, and very soon after they bought it, they removed that. It was in poor condition, but that's really the only thing that is visible. There were some other important changes made that were not very visible. The Hamiltons very soon installed an electricity line. They had to pay to bring a cable underwater to the island. They also paid to install a telephone line. They installed a better bathroom, and then changed the kitchen, a new kitchen sink, and so forth. They brought their what had been a brand new stove in 1937 that was in their home in North Toronto. And in 1960 or 61, they brought that stove and installed it in the kitchen. But it still looks just the same as it did in 1937, and it works just fine, thank you. You have to set the temperature a little higher than you really want it, because the temperature you get is a little higher than, or a little lower than what the gauge says, but that's not hard to do. So they made quite a few sort of important changes, but they're not visible. They don't change the atmosphere or the style or of the cottage. One of the phenomenal events that has happened during the time we've owned this cottage was the storm that happened on July 15th, 1995. This storm blew down about 42 trees just on Bass Island. About half of the trees of any size were snapped or blown down. There was a pine tree which was about 40 feet tall, and it was based just outside the kitchen. And in the storm, it broke, and it broke about halfway up. It broke about 20 feet up, and the top 20 feet was blown by the wind, and it flew over the roof of the kitchen, and it landed on its top, and then it fell back. And the bottom end of the 20 feet that broke off hit a wooden pillar that supports the roof outside the kitchen. And it just touched it and sort of turned it about 45 degrees, and that was it. And when the storm was over, I went outside to explore around, and I couldn't even walk from the kitchen door to the place where we usually swim. That whole area, which is normally open, was just blocked by a series of trees that had fallen down. It was incredible. In 2020, we got a phone call from somebody from the Muskoka Conservancy, and they said they would like to present an award to the owners of Bass Island for preservation or conservation of the natural environment on Bass Island, and also conservation of the built environment, meaning the buildings. We were very much flattered, and I think, if I may say so, it was a well-deserved award, because Bass Island building really is kind of exceptional in the way that the old style has been kept. When we're busy doing work on the cottage, I say to people that we can use modern equipment, but in terms of the parts that we use in building things, nothing beyond nails and screws. Recently we installed a fire escape upstairs, and to do that we modified a window so that it could be more easily open. But the new window that went in is made of wood, like all the other windows. So we have really made a point of keeping the cottage in its materials and styles in the old way, and it makes it quite an exceptional place at the present time. Obviously, the important thing is what it means to people, and it's been wonderful from our point of view that so many people have come here and have enjoyed it, and people seem to be very comfortable with it being an old place, or giving the impression of an old place. While it's an old place, it's also a usable place in a modern way. You can get Wi-Fi, you can use your cell phones, you can do what you have. We have an old imitation telephone that looks like a 1920 telephone, but it works. And that's sort of a symbol of what we try to do. We try to keep the old style, but we try to keep it usable. All these friendships and these meaningful relationships is so important. So those are important things that we try to do. And at the same time, we try to preserve the meaning and expand the meaning of the history of the place, and which is pretty special.